Hey everyone, welcome to Sidetrack Adventures. This is Steve. If you've watched this channel before, it'll probably come as no surprise to you, but I'm a fan of Westerns. And today we're going to be exploring a place where hundreds of Western movies and TV shows have been filmed. So join us as we explore Old Tucson. Even though this place is called Old Tucson, we're actually a few miles west of the city, near Saguaro National Park. Movies have been made here on and off since 1939, and at one time, when the popularity of Westerns was at its height, Old Tucson was the second most visited attraction in Arizona, behind only the Grand Canyon. Because it's well over 100 degrees right now, I don't think we'll have to worry too much about crowds today though. According to this, there's movie production in progress, so some attractions may be closed. We'll have to see if we could find out what's being filmed. Here's the gift shop. I just asked. Nothing is being filmed here today. They're just starting to build sets for their zombie-themed event around Halloween. That zombie event is called Nightfall, which sounds pretty fun. I may have to come back and check that out. This rabbit doesn't want to be filmed. The tracks aren't full-sized, but I believe in the non-summer months they have a small train that runs through. Here's an armored stagecoach. These things never existed in the Old West. They're a complete invention of Hollywood. Because it's the summer and most people avoid the summer heat, the only thing going on here today are guided tours. During the rest of the year, they'll have different shows and Old West gunfights and stuff like that going on, but I'm mostly interested in seeing the movie set, so that's fine with me. But if you come here outside the summer, there's a lot more going on. This building is called Phoebe's Place. It's named after Jean Arthur's character in the 1940 movie Arizona. That was the first movie to be filmed here, and the reason the studio was built in the first place. You can see this building in Young Guns 2, and somehow, when they were filming it, they forgot to take one of the speakers off the building. So in what was supposed to be 1880s New Mexico, there's a huge speaker on the roof of the building in the scene. This is one of the original buildings that was built for Arizona. This is also where the men's bathroom was. In the 1930s, Nick Hall owned the Santa Rita Hotel in Tucson. He was a big booster of trying to get Hollywood movie companies to come to Tucson to film. In 1939, the director and writer of the movie Arizona came to Tucson to do historical research for the movie and stayed at the Santa Rita Hotel. Originally, the movie was going to be filmed in California, but Hall convinced them to film it here. They began building the set here, in what is now the studio, using a map of Tucson in the 1860s as reference. They built 50 buildings in 40 days, using 350,000 adobe bricks. The local Fana-Otham tribe did a lot of the manual labor. Arizona was groundbreaking for a Western. Up to this point, most Western sets were made using facades, but with Arizona, there was a full town with actual buildings they could ride through and shoot around. Arizona had its premiere in Tucson in November 1940. After Arizona was completed, the set just sat here for about 5 years, until The Bells of St. Mary's, starring Bing Crosby and Ingrid Bergman, filmed here in 1945. Throughout the late 1940s and 1950s, quite a few films were made here, featuring almost every major Western star of the time. John Wayne made 4 movies here: Rio Bravo, Rio Lobo, El Dorado, and McClintock. You could always tell when a movie was filmed here when you see Golden Gate Peak in the background. This bridge is where Dean Martin's dude stood watch in Rio Bravo, and you could see John Wayne crossing it twice in El Dorado, in 2 separate towns. Of course, every old West town needs a blacksmith. In 1959, a man named Robert Shelton leased this property from Pima County and restored the sets and opened up the studio to visitors. On the opening weekend in 1960, 60,000 people showed up. The 1957 version of the Gunfight at the OK Corral, starring Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas, was filmed here. That movie always bothered me because in it Wyatt Earp kills Johnny Ringo at the gunfight, when in reality Johnny Ringo wasn't there and died 10 months later. This is a monument honoring the Thaw-Na Otham for their contributions to building this place. It's probably hard to see because of the reflection, but here's a shot from the movie Rio Bravo with John Wayne, and there's Ricky Nelson looking out the window. And here's that same shot today. This is where John Wayne would have been standing. And here's the whole building. There's a sound stage inside, and that's why they have that big air conditioning unit. Here's a shot of the river from Rio Lobo. And here's what it looks like in real life. When you see all the adobe bricks around here, you realize that 350,000 number is not an exaggeration. I keep falling behind the tour a little bit so that I'm not filming other people or ruining other people's tour experience by talking. So I'm missing a little bit of the trivia of what was filmed where. But just take a look at this set. I mean, this is just amazing. I recognize this building from Three Amigos. And of course, down there, that mission. If you've seen the movie Tombstone, that's where the opening scene takes place, where the cowboys come in and raid the wedding party, and Johnny Ringo kills the priest. Here's the courthouse. Looks like we're going to go inside here. From the outside, the courthouse was several stories tall, but it's just this one floor on the inside. There is a balcony up there, so if they have to have somebody come outside the window on any exterior shots, they can. Here's the courtroom. Take a look at the ceiling. Here are some of the movies that were filmed here. I didn't realize Cannonball Run 2 was filmed here. And The Outlaw Joey Wales is one of the great westerns if you've never seen it. In addition to all the movies, lots of TV series filmed here. High Chaparral and Little House on the Prairie use the sets extensively, just to name a couple. With not as many westerns being made, there haven't been quite as many productions here over the last 20 years, but it does still see regular use. The studios also had some bad luck over the last few decades as well. A fire in 1995 destroyed 40% of the studio, so a lot of what we see here today was rebuilt since then. The fire also destroyed a lot of movie memorabilia they had on site, such as costumes from Little House on the Prairie. Then more recently, when the COVID pandemic started in 2020, the company running this place went under and the studio closed indefinitely. Luckily in 2022, American Heritage Railways took over operation of the studio and they reopened in October that year. This carousel is over 100 years old, and we're about to ride it. They also have a petting zoo here, and I did ask. So far, none of these goats or ducks have appeared in any movies. They should probably get better agents. If you find yourself in Tucson and you're a fan of westerns or even movies in general, it's definitely worth coming out here and taking this tour. Now when I get home, I'm going to rewatch some of these movies and look for these sets. So that's our look at Old Tucson. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.